You said you had fun reading The Bridge Kingdom. And I was about to jump off the bridge. Quack.
Welcome to the Little Duck Book Club with Duck number 1,
Ren, and Duck number 2,
Anna. And yeah, welcome to another year on the Little Duck Book Club channel.
We're reviewing the old year. I mean, the new year hasn't started.
Shh. Don't spoil that.
Don't spoil that. It's gonna be a surprise. What, after this year we're doing another? I didn't expect that.
Astronomical, the Earth moves around the sun. We're doing a 2024 review, okay?
Yeah, we're looking at 2024 and talking about our thoughts, our experiences, our hopes for the future.
Our pains in the past, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was pain for sure. It was a good amount of pain, I will say.
Yeah, and we're gonna go through the same questions like we did for the 2023 video. I actually looked at my notes. I was like, did I hold myself accountable for some stuff?
Ooh.
Gonna go through the Goodreads Choice Award again. Look what the people voted for. This year they were very persistent with the emails. I got like 5 emails reminding me to vote.
That's interesting.
In the award.
I think I got a number of emails too, and I was like, oh, it's a Goodreads email, I don't care. I'm just like, listen, I'm not, what do you want from me?
And then since we also asked you to write some stuff on our community post and like give us some feedback on how your year went, we will also look at that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great time.
All right. Want to start with our little questions?
Yeah, let's.
So, Duck number 1, what were your favorite 3 books that you read this year?
Well, I know we already did this last year too, because it's hard to pick 3 books.
I didn't rate them as well. I was just
You didn't rank them at all? Interesting. No. I didn't rank them either.
Okay.
Okay, so for me, I struggled a bit because I did reread a number of books this year. Mm-hmm. And it's always difficult to be like, okay, am I just rating, like, because we already did a video about our all-time favorite books.
We did, yeah.
So, I reread some of those that are on that list. So I'm like, am I just gonna, like, how?
Yeah. How are you gonna do it?
Or am I just gonna do new books? But I have decided I'm leaving out the old one that I read a while ago. I was like, The Mortal Word is on my favorite books list, but I don't need to put it on this year's list because I loved it. I had a great time, but also it's just not. Yeah, it's different. And I'm also putting together on one place the second and third books from the Skullman series because I read them very close together, but also it's from the same series. They're both very good. Yeah. If I had to pick a favorite, it would be The Last Graduate, the second book. Mm-hmm. But that's also already listed on my favorite books of all times list also, and they're ranked that way also, so I'm not like, this is not a surprise. Yeah. Then my second favorite that's a new book this year was A Memory Called Empire. Yeah. I really it was really good.
It was really good.
I am not a sci-fi guy. I don't get excited by sci-fi. If you tell me sci-fi premise, I'm like, okay, it sounds kind of interesting, but I'm not I'm not foaming at the mouth. I'm not like, oh, I need this. I just go, yeah, okay, maybe. Yeah. And this was a really good time. It was. Akra D. Martine, her writing is so good. It's obviously influenced by lyrical tradition. Her description, her writing is really so good. It's
very scrumptious.
I love Mahit. It's such a good story. It's just very good.
Yeah.
And then my favorite of the year is The City We Became by M.K. Jemisin. It's so fucking good. It's also more on the sci-fi end of the spectrum, which surprised me that I liked it that much. But M.K. Jemisin is such a good author. I know everyone raves about her and her writing, and I was always, the series that's recommended from her, the Broken Earth trilogy, I've always been reluctant because it's kind of a post-apocalypse story, and I'm not big
You're
on
not a dystopian
post-apocalypse.
person.
Yeah, it's not really my... But now I'm like, maybe I should read them. Because she's so good.
But I love when authors do that. When you're like,
the writing's so good. Yeah, no, I love when I pick up a book and I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll like it. And then I'm like, oh no, this was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because obviously fantasy is like the genre I'm really into.
Yeah.
But I do like reading widely. I'm not opposed to liking books from other genres.
You also read nonfiction sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Occasionally. Once or twice in my life, I have indulged in a nonfiction book.
Not me.
But yeah, never. You literally only read fiction. You're like, nonfiction? No, I'm allergic.
I have read some nonfiction, but yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's just... I was so positively super. I just everything about it just appealed to me so much. N.K. Jemisin's writing is also such. Yeah, it's hilarious because I bought this book I think 2 years ago maybe, and at the time I bought it, it's the first in a series.
Yeah.
But at the time it was the only one that was out, so there was no sequels listed anywhere. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna enjoy a cool standalone.
No.
And at the last like 10%, I was like, how are they gonna wrap this up?
It was like a cliffhanger.
It's not. No, it's not. It's not a cliffhanger, but it's so obviously part of a series.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I guess I'm excited that there's more, but also I had hoped to not start another series. But I'm excited to read the rest. I think the second one is definitely already out. I hope the third one's coming out soon.
So you can buy them together.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I do like doing that. Waiting for the next ones to come out, then reread the first one, and then like all of them together. I do like doing that. I've been known to do that. But yeah, that is my favorites. What is on your list?
The first one that I completely forgot about the first quarter of the year. And then when I looked at my Goodreads, I was like, oh yeah, I did read those. And one of my favorites was the last book of the Stormbreaker, or was it Stormbreaker? Realmbreaker. I always fuck those up. The Realmbreaker series, which is Fatebreaker, and I remember I read that after Crescent City 3. And it was just such a revelation to me because I was like, oh, finally
writing can be good.
Some good fucking food, you know? And I really enjoyed it. And it was everything I like about a third book. Yeah. Usually I tend to like the second book of a series more. But in this case, Fatebreaker is like...
It's wrapped up with a bow. It's incredible.
I gobbled it up. It was,
you were happy.
To me, I enjoyed it a lot. I really, really like it. I haven't read Red Queen. I don't know any other Aveyard ventures, but that made me very happy. I also have a memory called Empire. It's just such a lovely book, and I've just started reading A Desolation Called Peace. Again, scrumptious, amazing. The reunion of Three Seagrass and Mahit.
Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. We finally get some like older Iskander action.
Yes.
Which is, again, perfect. How they bounce off each other, Mahit and Iskander, is just, it's just really lovely. It's lovely to read. It's lovely to enjoy. I just really like it.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
It was so good. And then I just realized I wrote down a book that I read at the end of last year, and I confused that.
No!
But that means...
False data!
That means that the fourth contender actually can go up, and that was A Night Circus.
I'm so glad!
I really liked Night Circus, and I was like, oh no, I liked All System Red more, until I realized I read that last. Yeah, last December.
I am so happy!
Night Circus was really a very nice experience, and I reading it in the wintertime was the complete right move, because I'm a wintertime sucker. I loved everything about it, so it made it onto the
It makes me so happy that it's on your top 3 books of the year list. I feel so accomplished now. I'm like,
I know.
I'm so good at picking books for you. I'm so happy.
You are. I'm
good so happy. No, I'm really just like, oh god, but what if you don't like the other book I gave you this year? Oh no.
I will. I will probably love it. Let's be real.
That's true. You are a lover. I am a hater. It's the balance of things.
So, let's get to hate now.
Yeah, let's get on the hate train.
Least favorite 3 books
Do you want to start this time?
Are
we alternating?
Oh yeah, I can start.
I don't think there's gonna be too many surprises on that one.
No, this one is pretty, like, the first one, again, that came to my mind was House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. It's just, she made me read, I mean, she didn't make me, I did this by my own volition.
You did this to yourself.
For the third time, more than 800 pages of absolute batshit crazy plot that even, like, you saw the sheets that I prepared when I did the video to make the plot more understandable, because it was chopped up into so many little pieces that even combining them made me go, what the fuck is happening right here?
That's fair.
Just a huge no. And I honestly, I liked Bryce in the first book. I ended up hating her in the third book because it's just...
We've talked about it in depth.
Yeah, we talked about it in the 4-hour video. Second was Bride. Ellie Hazelwood.
Fucking terrible.
Miss Hazelwood. I don't know what to say. And the third one is, and I'm so sorry because somebody in the comments recommended this book series to us, but that's Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros.
Oh, you did read it this year.
I did read it this year.
The year was so long.
I finished it. No, it was one of the books I started last year and needed to finish. And I just really could not connect with the main character. The dragons actually got on my nerves. Like, in the beginning, I was like, oh yeah, grumpy black dragon.
Yeah, dragons.
Fucking love it. Yeah. Does not have any concern for the humans. That's a fun concept. Yeah. Because the dragons have to keep their riders to, like, develop, like, the full powers. Yeah. But, you know, you don't have to love your oppressors, the people who ride you, the people who, like, you know, like, that kind of stuff. You don't have to. So I liked that in the beginning, but the main characters really made it horrible for me. Yeah. And I did not buy the Shadow Daddy vibes I got from Xaden, I think his name was.
Isn't his name Xaden Ryerson? Yeah, the most fake name you can imagine.
All the time I was like, you know, whatever you're trying to tell me about Xaden that he's doing wrong, or, like, he's completely justified. Yeah. Everything that people say he's doing that are not good, I'm like, yes.
I support him.
If the book was about him, I'd like it a lot more. Yeah. Because I could just, yeah. So we're not gonna talk about Fourth Wing, I think.
It wasn't even like a good time, right? It wasn't bad in the way that you had fun.
It wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't like I was forcing myself to read the book. It was just kind of boring, to be honest.
That's fair.
So
very, very fair.
It had everything in, like, the, you know, the Powerpuff, you know, a little bit of love, a little bit of this kind of mix that would make me like a book, but it just didn't.
You didn't even like the dragons. That's so hard.
No. I was so prepared to love the dragons and I didn't.
I get it, though.
So what are your... I feel like the list is...
I have mine ranked, so...
Oh, okay.
The third book, Good Girls Don't Die. I'm so mad still. I will never stop being mad.
You know, I read that last year. So.
Yeah, objectively, maybe not one of the worst, but, like, a terrible experience for me. Mm-hmm. I just didn't read that many bad books this year because I reread a lot of stuff I knew I already liked. Yeah. And I read a lot of stuff that I had on my list because of recommendations and stuff. So I mostly read bad books because we picked them together. But, like, Good Girls Don't Die. Man,
I told you.
I will never get over it.
I will never get over the fact that I wiggle-waggled, looked at you and was like, I want to hear your thoughts. And you thought they'd be good.
I just thought you were like, oh yeah, it's a complex thing. Like, there's a lot to say about it. I didn't think, it's bad, is, like, the main thing to say about it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. No, and I hate that now I can't say anymore that, like, oh, I haven't read a Christina Henry book that I didn't like.
She doesn't have a perfect track record anymore.
Yeah, the track record's shattered.
And that's a bigger tragedy than the book itself.
What's worse than being disappointed? This was so surprisingly bad. Because I read I read The House That Horror Built.
Directly afterwards,
quickly afterwards. And I liked that one just fine. It's not my favorite Christina Henry book. But it's good. And it's not, like, the greatest horror ever, but it has suspense. It's interesting again. Mm-hmm. I liked it, and I was like, "What happened with Girls Don't Die, man? This book was good."
Yeah,
But yeah, number 3. Number 2, The Bridge Kingdom.
No, I enjoyed that one.
I know you enjoyed it. I did not have a good time. I hate Laura. I hate Avery. I hate this. I hate everything about it. I don't like it. I did not have a good time.
I had a great time.
I had a great time making fun of it afterwards. But while reading, I had fun for like the first 30 pages, and then I was like, oh no, we're gonna keep doing this for forever. And I had fun again when like Laura almost died, but that was like that was a kind of it's just so bad, man. So and of course number 1.
Yeah, I can guess.
It's Bride.
Yeah.
I will never stop being surprised how somebody can write a werewolf vampire book and be neither team werewolf nor team vampire, to be entirely repulsed by the supernatural aspects and just not have it be in any way appealing at all.
Yeah.
How are you, like, it's already like, okay, just because you would fuck a vampire, it doesn't make you a monster fucker.
No, it doesn't.
But also I'm like, she's not even that. She can't even get the appeal of, like, the most humanoid of monsters.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? How are you not horny? Like, almost everyone has, like, okay, I'm definitely team this or team that. Mm-hmm. And some people are like, no, I definitely need both of these carnally immediately. But she's just, like, so disinterested, where I'm just like, I understand that this probably was just an idea her editor gave her, because that's where she gets her book ideas, which she said in public, which is, how do you openly admit this publicly? That's crazy to me.
To me, that is just as insane as Alex Astor, like, continuously saying that she cannot, like, make up images in her mind when she reads or writes. It's like the same kind of thing where as an author, I'd be like, no, don't say that.
Just don't say it. Yeah. But, like, legitimately, Ali Hazel, this book was so bad. Yeah. It made me, like, it put me in a reading time. Like, after Bridge King, I was just like, oh, I'm glad to read books that are good now. After this, I didn't read anything for a while. I was just so fucking tired. I was like, I can't. It's so bad. I can't do it. The only way I made it through is because I read it while I was on the train and I had nothing else to do. So I was like, might as well read Bride.
Right, I remember.
I'm already suffering. Might as well read Bride, you know? I hate this fucking book, man.
Yeah, that was...
You know, when we recorded it and when we decided to read Bride, I did not expect it to do as well as the video ended up doing.
Me neither.
I'm a little soothed by the fact that my horrifying experience has at least resulted in some kind of compensation in any way.
Our ego, yeah.
But it's not worth it. Like, it's not fun. It's not even funny bad. It's just... This is like making somebody eat unseasoned, like, gruel...
Yeah.
For hours, and then be like, didn't you enjoy your meal? And it's, no!
You didn't even, like, this was microwave.
I can't even complain about this in a satisfying way, because I'm just so tired. Man, I hate this book.
It certainly did not have its moments, yeah.
It has no single moment at all, yeah, no. Man. But I am glad that it's almost universally disliked. Not even Ali Hazelwood fans, I think, were super into it.
There were a lot of people that were kind of, not too... Yeah. Like, I feel like she ventured into a new audience with the book, like the fantasy readers. But there was also a lot of contemporary readers who were like, nah, girl. You did not manage to win me over with this one.
Yeah, and a lot of fantasy people were like, dude, I want to fuck vampires, but not like this, man. Yeah. Not like this at all.
Considering how horny the book is, it felt so sterile.
It doesn't feel authentically horny.
Yeah.
It feels like you told somebody who, like, didn't get the appeal of sex at all to be like, hey, read a bunch of sex scenes and then write one.
Yeah.
And that's like, wow, you're not even good at pretending. It's fucking weird. You're like, this is like what I imagine aliens would write after being like, no, I can totally imitate a human being.
After they watched like a couple of porn videos, they're like,
they're like, I can do it, for sure. And it's like,
no. It was just not good.
No,
we also have a link.
We've talked about this for a
yeah.
long time. Yeah. Oh my god, I hate this book. No, we complained about it very extensively.
Yeah.
It has no redeeming feature at all. No,
Yeah.
I guess the cover is nice. I will give it that. The cover art is nice. It's well designed, but everything content-wise, bad.
Everything on the inside.
It's not good. Yeah.
So, we had something that last year we called favorite book moments. And I think it was both in the community and like things that happened inside of the book. So you want to start again?
Yeah, I didn't really have a lot of this. I mean, I had the coziest, funnest time rereading my favorite book series and like marking up so many pages because I have this elaborate fanfic plan and I'm like, no, I need all this information for later. And now nothing is findable because there's like 100 post-its per book. But also, like, what I wrote down was like, yeah, my favorite moment was when The House That Horrible was actually good. Yeah, I was like, no, that was incredible when I realized that book was actually gonna be good.
You were so scared.
Yeah, I was scared in the wrong way while reading it. I was like, oh god, this is gonna nosedive like pretty soon. But it kept being competent, so I was like, yeah, love that.
You were entertained.
That was my moment.
So I have, like, outside of books, and then I had one in my mind where I was like, oh, But you know what? I really liked that moment because it was just so genuinely funny. I really we went to the book fair this year, to the Frankfurt Book Fair. We made little sweaters with a logo. It was just a fun experience.
We have our own merch, okay?
I felt like, I feel very bad saying this because you were so fucking sick on that day.
Yeah.
I was like, you're gonna topple over any second. The air circulation is not good. I was a bit scared that I was gonna have to like drag you home. Back on the train.
Oh my god!
But that was at least for me, it was a fun experience.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you had a good time. Yeah. Like, I didn't want to ruin it.
No, you didn't ruin it.
No, I was just sitting around and I was just like, my bones hurt.
I remember you being like, do you know that moment when your bones hurt? I was like, no.
Yeah, and at the end I was just like, I'm just gonna sit here, you look at books. I sat there dissociating because I was sitting right in front of one of like the big German dark romance like publishing stand, and I was just sitting there like staring at nothing, just like wishing my seat was more comfortable and being like, can I lie down here? Is someone gonna say something?
Disassociating in the dark romance.
Yeah, I was really just like staring at nothing. Like next to me, like people kept sitting down and then getting up. All of those girlies with their dark romance stuff and having like fun conversation. I'm just sitting there like dead-eyed, like about to fall over.
And then I came back all happy to show you all the unhinged books I saw. No, I really like that one.
No, I had a good time. Like I had like moments where I was like, not feeling as bad, like after we ate, I had like energy again and stuff. But
I also really enjoyed the comments on the Skyshade video.
Oh,
For some reason, we got such an influx of comments. Like, couldn't save ourselves. And it's always so fun to see.
No, that was
especially
incredible.
with like fun ideas or just your own jokes. And it's really fun to just scroll through and read. And there were so many.
You people are so funny.
Like, I scroll through and I'm like, gagged. You know? Yeah. No, that was
so true.
And there was one inside book moment, which also relates to the Skyshade video and when I made the presentation and then when we talked about it. And it's the, stealing the finger from Horace.
It's so fucking funny, man.
And it's genuinely, if I ever meet Alex Astor, if she ever has an FAQ somewhere, I'm gonna write, did Horace die when they stole the finger? Because it's a genuine concern of mine.
You're like, did they kill him? Did they do it?
Was he just sleeping? We don't know.
We don't know. We just don't know.
So yeah,
that is also incredible. That's a good moment, honestly.
So those were my favorite inside and outside moments.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Okay.
So,
reading stats.
How much you read,
knuckles.
how you felt about it, What was your reading experience?
So I actually felt quite happy this year. I managed to... So I always set my Goodreads goal to 25 because I'm very like...
You're conservative, yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm like, I actually need to lower it to 20. This year I read 22 books, actually. My Goodreads says 21, but it's because I didn't check Six of Crows again.
You can do that, though.
Yeah, I forgot.
Okay, you forgore.
I forgore.
Fair.
So 22 books, which I'm quite proud of. I had my typical winter home run, where in the later weeks I read more books.
Yeah.
Some of the home run was a bit quenched by Dragon Age: The Veilguard and Arcane Season 2. The brain worms were warming.
I still think that if you read enough text in the art book, you should just put it on your Goodreads.
just the art
As
book.
another book.
I'll definitely put the Legends of Runeterra one because it has a lot of text on there once I've completely read it.
There's many words in here.
But yeah, I read a lot of I read a shit ton of fanfic too. So yeah, I read like 10 Arcane books basically. But yeah, I feel like 20 to 25 books seems to be like a little like good limit for me
spot,
for comfy reading that I enjoy, that I feel like this is like, oh yeah, I can do this. Come on, read another book, but it doesn't feel like I have to like make.
Yeah, it's not overwhelming.
Yeah, it's not overwhelming that much. So
That's good.
I enjoyed the reading stats. Things that I would change last year. I had the very bad habit that I would start a book and I would...
Yeah.
I had like 10,000 books I started and didn't continue reading. One of the reasons why I had such a great time finishing my goal this year was because I finished a lot of
the books you started last
year. I didn't finish all of them. I still haven't finished Red, White, and Royal Blue, or what it's called. Like the one with the son from the president of the United States and the prince.
The one that feels like it was written in the Obama era because it's just like...
I still haven't finished that. And I also still haven't finished like the first Fractalverse book, To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. Because it's just so big.
Yeah.
So I haven't finished those. But I actually went through with it. And honestly, I don't want to change anything next year.
You're happy.
I am happy, and it felt very good.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
That's good.
So how about you?
Yeah, so confidently and wrongly at the end of last year, I was like, you know what? I could do 50 books next year. Yeah, I can manage. I can totally do that. And I didn't.
Confidently.
I was at the middle of midpoint of the year. I already noticed that okay, I'd have to read like a lot of books very quickly if I want to meet it. And I was like, it's probably not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So at some point I put my, Goodreads goal down to 40. And then very recently I was like, you're not making 40.
Yeah.
I talked about it because I was like, I could now read like quickly 5 shorter books. Or I could finally read the books that I bought when I was visiting London in March 2023.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'd rather finish my physical TBR in that sense. Like, I'd rather read those and, don't get that far. And, I got to 35. I finished one of them. They're both, I finished the longer one that was, 580 pages.
That's a lot.
Now I'm at the 530-page one. If I really hunkered down, I could finish it because I'm at 220 pages of 430. I can do 200 pages in 2 days. That's totally doable. But I have other stuff that I want to do. I would rather do other stuff with that time. So I'm just going to be like, you know what? I'm going to have an early win next January. And January 2nd, I'm going to have a book done. I'm going to feel really good. And does it really matter if I finish it in 2024 or at the beginning of 2025? The important part is that it's not going to end up in March and I still haven't read it 2 years after I bought it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that happened. And 35 books isn't
it's a
bad.
Lot. If I thought that I had to read 13 more books No.
That's just one more per month, basically. It's not that much more. Over the
No,
year.
it's a lot for me.
Yeah, and like, again, in the second half of the year, I read about, like, on average, like, 5 books per month.
That's good.
But I read almost nothing at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into it, but, like, I did not have a mentally good year. My year was not, I was not having a blast. Let's put it like that.
But you also had, like a
I had
thing going on.
Yeah, I had, for the first 3 months, I had a very time-intensive internship, and I just...
Yeah.
I read, like, 2 books in 3 months.
So that's, like...
That was already a bad start, and then I read so much fanfic, but I didn't read books. I was like, I just need easy stuff to read. I can't...
Yeah.
So... That's that. I'm happy that I read a number of, like, thick books that I still had lying around, like, a lot of, like, 600, 500 page books. Because, like, obviously the standard way is more like 350.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm gonna read adult fantasy that is longer because I know I'm gonna like it. And I'm very happy because basically all the books that were on my recommendations list that I bought from there and got from other people's recommendations were good. I had a good time. Most of the books were really good. I only had one big disappointment that I had bought, like, while in London because, like, the cover was nice and the description sounded nice. But otherwise, like, most of the books I read were very good. I read a good chunk of books from the library, which is why I still had books from 2023 lying around unread because I love going to the library and being like, ooh.
Yeah.
Book shopping for free.
I was about to say.
And, like, yeah, so that's that. And, like, first I was like, oh no, I said I could do 50 this year, now I read less than last year. But I checked, and I only did 33 last year, so I do feel...
Accomplished.
An improvement. Slowly but surely, but next year, I will try 50 again. I'm gonna
Mark your words.
Because, like, I feel like if I read every evening, like, I go to bed and then I have, like, an hour left and, like...
You make it like a routine.
Yeah, I read, like, 60 to 100 pages every night. That should totally, like, 50 books should totally be doable.
Yeah.
So, I am hoping. I'm not gonna confidently state it, but, like, it's a hope. It's a dream, you know? I'm manifesting. No, I'm not.
Manifesting it now. No.
50 books now. Reading obsessively for the next 20 minutes, just like beaming knowledge into my brain. Nah. But yeah, no, I had a lot of fun because I also reread a bunch of books that, you know, I liked in the past. I did like 1/3 of the books I read this year were like rereads, like 12 books. And I had a really good time. I like revisiting books I liked years ago. I think that's...
Yeah, that's always fun.
Especially because now I have, like, a different view on it, and now that I'm writing more myself, I also, like, notice more of the craft behind it, which is an interesting perspective to also have. So I'm like, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
That's good.
I'm a little sad that I didn't manage to fit in This Is How You Lose the Time Lore again this year. Because I was like, it would be a cute tradition if I, like, reread it every year, because it's just so good. But it's also short, so it's not...
That busted my brain last year.
It was so fucking bad. I was like, man, if I read it this year, this is easy gonna be, like, the favorite book of the year, because it's my favorite book of all time.
Yeah. Sometimes I just take out the book and, like, open a random page and I just read one of the letters.
They're all good.
And it's just always fun. Good. Yeah.
No, so that's my long thoughts on my reading stats. It's complicated. My relationship to my reading stats complicated.
That's okay.
But yeah, the next question was like how we want to change it next year. So you say you don't want to change anything.
Not much. No, not the reading habits.
No, I'm also like I just want to read more. And, like, I also kind of want to read more widely. Like, I think last year I managed this more where I took more books from the library that were in genres. I don't really read that much. But this year, because I was rereading so much and then reading a bunch of other books that I was really excited for, I didn't really have time to fit in random books that I had no strong thoughts on already. So, gonna try that. But otherwise, Nice. I'm also not... I'm like, you know what? I want to read more of the longer books that are good. I'm gonna try to finish a bunch of series next year.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that I've started where I'm like, okay, is the rest out? And if the rest is out, I would like to get that done because it's...
Yeah.
I don't like when it's, like, open, when I'm like, oh yeah, I know how this starts. And I really like it, but I have no idea where it's going. So I'm like, I would like to do that. Yeah.
So, I think the next one you start again.
Yeah. We have
the funky table.
Yeah, our fun table that's like positives and negatives. So like true positives, true negatives. So like either a book is good and you expected it to be good, or it's bad while you expected it to be good, or it may be good while you expected it to be bad, or bad and you expected that.
Yeah.
Good. So I have one of my true positives was the binding. It's a queer book. I found it at the library, but it had been on my list for a while because a friend of mine read it and was really, really positive about it. And I was like, well, I would love to read it, but I currently own too many books to buy any new ones, so I have to wait. And then I saw it at the library and I was like, well, I am winning. So I read it. It was really good. It was really good. And I had a similar experience with the 10,000 Doors of January, which I also found at the library and had been on my TBR for forever. I don't remember who recommended it at what point, but I expected it to be good, and it was also really good.
Nice.
I had a good time with those. Then, false positive, the book I mentioned, A Magic Steeped in Poison. It looked beautiful. It has a gorgeous cover. The description also sounds interesting. The book itself, oh man. Like, the first 2 chapters are, like, fine. It goes downhill so fast. And it never comes back up. It's just...
Oh.
It's so mediocre to bad, it's painful.
Yeah.
Because it's also another one where I feel like this is just a victim of the current trends in the publishing industry where they're putting out more books but not hiring more editors and also not increasing pay for the editors they do have. This book needed revisions. A lot of this reads like first draft where it's like, the bones of a good story are here, but they clearly were not, refined. And I think this was a debut author as well. And I'm like, I should just stop reading YA fantasy debut authors forever. I can't do it unless I know it's really, really, really good. I can't do it anymore.
It's somehow
it's bad for me.
It's bad for your mental health.
Yeah. One of my note points is that Bride was even worse than I thought, which is impressive in its own way, which is true. I expected it to be just kind of mid and like boring.
Yeah.
And then it was like it just killed me.
Yeah.
It was real brain poison.
Yeah.
So fucking bad. And then I was like, obviously I expected the Bridge Kingdom to be bad, and it was in fact bad. So that was great. And then I have another one. I was reading some of the Sherlock Holmes stories, and they were much worse than I expected.
They're not...
I understand that they're, like, from their time, and they're, like, an early, kind of detective story, so, like, obviously the formula has gotten much better and more refined now. Yeah. And even comparatively, like, Agatha Christie, who only wrote, like, I think 30 years later, so not even that long, not over, like, 100 years. Hers are so much more compelling and interesting.
Yeah.
And, like, the Sherlock Holmes stories, I'm like... First of all, Watson is just incredibly unlikable. I'm just like, I hate this man. Why is he like this? I don't like being in his perspective. I hate him. I hope he dies, which he won't, but like, I hope so.
I think the majority of like what's fun about Sherlock Holmes is the reinterpretations.
Yeah, I love Sherlock Holmes
the dynamic and stuff.
The originals, though, not good.
Yeah.
The first short story is like... A third of it is just about Mormons and how much Arthur Conan Doyle doesn't like Mormons, which, like, he's not wrong about them, but also why is it in this book to this degree?
I mean, it was like a weekly, right? At some point it felt like he used it as his own, like, column.
Yeah, it was just his mouthpiece to be like, hey, there's Mormons in Utah? Yeah, they suck ass. They're terrible.
I gotta write this.
Do you know they're polygamous? It's really bad. They're terrible. They're not real Christians. They suck. And it's like, Mormons are... I mean, you're not getting quite everything right. I don't think they had, like, a crazy secret service running around in the 1880s or whatever, but okay, Arthur. Whatever. You believe in fairies. Man. Whatever. You're a little kooky. But imagine you read this as a weekly.
Yeah.
And you have this mystery going on, and you're like, okay, what's gonna happen? And then for like 5 weeks, you're just getting Mormon content. What do you do, man? I would be so
when does
mad.
it end?
I would send hate mail to Arthur Conan Doyle. What the fuck, man?
You probably got some.
You probably did. But yeah, no, that was crazy. I was like, wow, this is really bad.
No, I knew that they were not good. Like, I read a couple of them.
Yeah.
And it's just...
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect them to be, like, crazy good or polished, but I was like, I can't believe how literally every adaptation of Sherlock Holmes, even those who, like, do Sherlock Holmes a little dirty, have made Watson such a normal, likable guy. The guy in the short story is so choleric. He's so hateable. I hate him. He's terrible. His perspective sucks. He's so bad. Every adaptation is just... Every single Watson I've ever seen is like leagues above whatever's happening in those stories, man.
I feel like either he is very insignificant to the story, and it's like you forget that he's, you know, there.
Sometimes you're like, why were you even there to talk about that? Like, why did they bring you? You don't matter.
Like, I didn't notice you in the skit. Like, where were you standing? But yeah,
they were pretty bad.
I feel like you're gonna judge me for mine.
Ooh,
so my true positive is Empire. Yeah. I've heard good things about it from people whom I trust, and it was good. Yeah. So perfect. My was it false positive? And this is a soft false positive, okay?
Ooh.
The first Captive Prince book. Listen, a lot of people were like, this is amazing. Show-stopping. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna read it. And the first book, I just didn't get it. It was super short. It felt like kind of sort of incomplete. And if you only judge, like if you
read it as a book alone, you're like, what the fuck?
What the fuck is happening? The second and third book, I gobbled them up. I read them in one. I read them in I think an evening and a night and a morning.
Yeah, I think most people remember stuff from the second.
I remember when I told you, I was like, what the fuck is up with this book? And you didn't even remember the ending. I didn't even remember
where it ended. I was thinking about the ending of the second book.
Oh, the ending of the second book was scrumptious.
Yeah,
it was amazing. I was like, the first book.
And then you were talking, and then I was like, wait, what even happens in the first book? Actually, I don't remember. I forgot.
He gets taken to the palace. There's some questionable sexual assault happening, and then there's a ball. That's it. He has an escape attempt.
Yeah,
he has an escape attempt, and then after they like do this, the slaves go to the different country, shenanigans. Then the king sends Lauren and Damon, but mostly Lauren away, and he's like, you have to go to the border. That's all that happens in the first book.
That's crazy.
And for me, that was a false positive. The
book itself is not that good.
I felt cheated. And then, thank God, I decided to buy the second and the third. Because they were... Ooh, I love... The second book, the bi-panic, the enemies to allies...
Question mark!
To big question mark. The scene on the balcony where they have to escape from the tavern, and Lauren is a little shit, and he's like, I want them to chase us. It's... I love it.
Like, people love it because the other books are good.
Yeah.
And they read them all together. Because the first is so short that you immediately go to the second.
Just the first is not good. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, no.
My true negative was Fourth Wing. Yeah. Again, I'm sorry. But I've heard from a lot of people that it's not good.
Great, yeah.
I had bought it very early because I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. And then when I read it, I was like, unfortunately, yes, it's not. I do not enjoy reading this. Yeah. And now you're gonna judge me. My false negative, as in people said it's so bad, but I enjoyed it. It's Bridge Kingdom. Of course. It's not a good book. That's not what I'm saying. But I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to enjoy it. And sometimes that's what you need. So a good, trash food,
a good bad book.
Kind of experience. Kind of experience. I'm not saying that, oh my god, it was a revelation.
No, but you had a good time.
Yeah, it's like the reverse Bright experience.
Yeah.
You know?
You were like, this is gonna be a chore. And then it wasn't.
And with Brian, I was like, oh, it's gonna be fine. And it wasn't.
It was not fine.
So...
Our bride PTSD, every time we mention it, we're like, oh, it was not good.
Next one is a book that you read that you would gift.
The other one, yeah.
Most of the books I read this year, you already read.
That's very true.
And the one that I picked, you actually also already read. Because I wrote down, I would gift you All Systems Red. Because I was like, you will love Murderbot.
And I did.
So much. And then you actually did end up reading All Systems Red, I remembered, in October. But, yeah, that was the book I wrote down until I realized you already read
I mean, that is valid.
You did love it.
I would love that if you gifted it to me. I'd be very happy. My first poem was like half a joke because I reread the second book in the Invisible Library series this year as well, so I was like, well, haha, if you like the first one, I totally gift you the second one as well. But the other one is The City We Became. I think you would, I think it really would be up your alley.
Yeah, it sounds good.
It has very fun vibes. There's like an eldritch dimension to it. Like there is a lot going on, and it's very it's just very good. And you like sci-fi, and I think this would absolutely be up your alley. So I think, I'm
just gonna write it down.
You would like that one.
So I know you're not.
I know.
But are there any book releases 2025 you're interested in or excited for?
I did look through some lists, so I do actually have some books listed this time. Yeah, last year I was like, nah, I don't care.
Yeah.
But this year I looked and I found that V. Schwab is coming out with a new book.
I saw that.
Bury Our Bones in Midnight Soil, which does sound interesting, and I'm cautiously excited because V. Schwab can be a real hit or miss. But since this looks like a standalone, as far as I can see, I didn't see it like, the beginning of a new saga or whatever. I am more optimistic because she's really good at like first books and like standalones. I think those work really well, especially before she turns those standalones into series. So whatever. I'm not still mad about Vengeful or anything. I'm not mad. Who's mad? Not me. But like that does sound intriguing.
Yeah.
And I like her writing well enough. So, again, I'm cautiously interested. Yeah. I'm gonna wait until reviews are out and people say things about it if I'm like, okay, this does sound like it's worth checking out. Then, next year is the planned release of a novella by Naomi Novik. So I'm kind of curious about that one. It's called The Summer War. It's like, and then it's completely standalone. It's not connected to anything else she's written. Which I am intrigued by. The description sounded interesting, and it's like slotted to have like 133 pages or something. So I was like, okay, that's a good sized novella. I'm interested. I am listening. And so I'm interested to see what's with that. But I might also wait for reviews because I was like, while I was writing this down, I was like, well, I haven't read anything from Naomi Novik that I haven't liked. And I was like, let's not say this. Let's just not say this.
Let's just not jinx it anymore.
Let's just not keep saying, let's just never say this again. So, again, I'm like, this could be fun. I don't know if I'll read it next year. Maybe I'll read it like 2 years later when I remember it exists. And then the third thing is Witchlight by Susan Dennard. It is the 5th book in the Witchlands series. I read the first 3 plus the novella that's between 2 and 3 because that is vital for the story.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. It has so much lore and revelation. It's so... They're very good. I read Truth Witch in the year it came out. Then I read Wind Witch and Blood Witch and Side Witch later. They're all really good. And I was waiting for the release of the final book because I'll have to reread all of them because they're dense, there's interesting lore, and I want it to be present in my brain while I read them. And the previous one came out, I think, last year or 2 years ago, and I was like, well, is this the last one? And it didn't look like it. So I'm like, okay. At first it was planned to be just a 4-book series, but since the 5th is coming out, I'm like, this is probably the last, so I am excited for it to be over. And I'm probably gonna read it, because like, I really, really like the first 3, and it, like, Susan Denner is clearly a competent writer. Yeah. So I'll probably enjoy it well enough. So I am excited, but I probably also won't read it, because it's also slated for late November next year. Okay. So I probably won't get to it that year, but I'll probably get to it in 2026. Rereading all the other ones, buying the 2 that I don't have yet. I think
You're gonna get
I'm looking forward to that. I'm glad it's finally over, because then I can finally read the next ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's where I'm coming from.
I wrote in quotation marks because it actually came out this year, but it came out like on Christmas. Yeah. Heavenly Tyrant.
Of course!
This book was pushed back so much, and I'm so happy that it's finally out. But I'm gonna only get my hands on it
in January.
So for me, it's like a 2025 release.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I've been waiting. It's been 80 years.
Last year you were already saying, I'm excited for Heavenly Tyrant to come out next year.
Yeah, because it was already pushed back. It was, I think in the beginning it was late 2023. Then it got like 4 different release dates for 2024. Yeah. To the point where I actually forgot I pre-ordered it because it never came.
It never came.
So, yeah. I have a book. I'm not sure whether I want to read it, but I'm excited about the reception and about, maybe I do want to read it. And I know you're gonna like roll your eyes in a second. Okay. It's Sunrise on the Reaping. It's the Haymitch Hunger Games book. And I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily want to read it.
Maybe you'll just watch the movie.
Maybe I'll just watch the movie because they are like going to come out like a year later, I think. And also interested, but no way am I gonna read it. Onyx Storm, like the fourth wing one.
The fourth wing.
Because I'm morbidly curious.
I am also a bit curious. Like, I'm not excited or anything.
No.
But I've heard from so many people how the second book is so many leagues worse than the first that I'm just like, how much are we sinking in the third one? Or are we going back up?
And one interesting thing is that somebody on TikTok pointed out that I saw was there has been this controversy, or like not controversy, it has happened that Powerless, one of like the new books that came out I think last year or this year, was very like scene to scene kind of similar to Red Queen.
Yeah.
And then somebody was like, do you all forget that Fourth Wing was also very similar to Red Queen, but just with dragons? And then they kind of wrote down stuff that also happens in Iron Flame later on, like Brother is part of the Resistance, that you then switch over. And I mean, I haven't read Red Queen, but the list made sense to me.
I'm just like, I feel like...
Maybe it's just tropes.
I was like, the Fourth Wing main character comes like from a military family, right? She's like from a powerful family. The main character in Red Queen comes from the slums, and it's a reveal that she has powers even though she shouldn't have, because she's from, not the right class of people that usually has them. And then later you find out, there's a bunch of other people who also have powers. She's not the only one. And it's like, not only the people with silver blood have powers. So I'm just like, I feel like you people are way too bad at media analysis to make these lists about, this is the same. And it's like, it's not surprising or like an uncommon trope that you have 2 brothers in a love triangle with a character and then one of them is good and one of them is evil. It's not rare, man. This is like basic ass shit.
Oh, wow. Yeah, maybe that was it. I just saw that there was like, I mean, I haven't read Red Queen, and I don't think I will.
I am not going to argue on any level that Powerless or Fourth Wing are not derivative as fuck, okay? Everything I've heard about them sounds like I would not be surprised to find footnotes on like every big thing that could be traced back to a very popular fantasy thing from the last 10 years. I'm not saying that. But I'm also like, books are not the same just because some tropes are very similar. Sometimes you just haven't read a lot of books, and you're the guy from the tweet that's like, boy, dude who's only saying Boss Baby, watching any other movie, wow, I'm getting a lot of Boss Baby vibes from this. You know what I mean? Like sometimes that's the energy.
With Powerless, like, there's literally, like, it got to a point where people would harass Victoria Aveyard about copying Powerless in Red Queen.
Yeah, I mean,
she was like,
I haven't read Powerless, and I'm like, again, of course it's derivative. Everything I've heard about it sounds so lazy. Of course it's derivative.
Yeah.
But also, like, again, we have
sometimes there's, like,
and I was like, Fourth Wing, everything I've heard about it, it's not really like Red Queen, so...
Fourth Wing gave me more, like, Divergent vibes, to be honest.
I was about to say, I'm very confused by that comparison, since I haven't, like, I don't know enough about Powerless to discuss it. I'm
excited to see what...
like Fourth Wing at all.
I'm excited to see what happens in Onyx Storm, because I watched an Iron Flame, like... What happens?
Yeah, recap video. I did too, and I was just like, that sounds insane and bad.
Yeah, insane and bad. And Onyx Storm is promising to be worse.
I wonder if it's going to be like a Fantastic Beasts situation where like the second one is terrible and then the third one is somehow even worse.
It's like it transcends a certain amount of silliness and turns into...
But I assume it will sell well enough for the author to keep going.
Yeah.
Because even Light Lark 3, The Larkening, has sold well enough for more books to be slated for release. So
every time I see a Light Lark book in store, I'm like, huh?
Oh, man.
And one more book that comes out this year, and I'm curious about it because I want to see the reviews.
Yeah.
It's like a fantasy series by Martha Wells.
Ooh.
And the first one was called Witch King. The first one was called Queen Demon, and Witch King comes out this year. Yeah, I think that's one of those.
Something like it.
I'm always interested in the second of a series. How well does it still hold up? There were mixed reviews I saw, but I'm interested to see how it goes. It comes out in, I think, May, because then I can judge. Oh, is this series something worth it? Because I really like Martha Wells' writing.
But you've read a novella. Which is very different.
I read a novella. I read a sci-fi novella.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is fantasy. So I'm
let's see if the writing still remains good even in a different...
Yeah, but actually not that many releases coming out. Like last year was...
You had a list.
Last year I had Fatebreaker, Crescent City, Bride.
You had a long list of things where you were like, I am ready.
Heavenly Tyrant.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So, books I want you to read. This one I actually would like us to read because I think it would make an interesting video. Is Iron Widow and or Heavenly Tyrant. I feel like Iron Widow would be something that's interesting to you. Not because I think you like everything about it.
Yeah.
I feel like you will find points where you'll be like, this doesn't make sense. Like, this is kind of stupid. But I
mean, I am also at least somewhat interested because I've seen such polarizing opinions on it.
Yeah.
Because there's also a lot of people whose, taste I kind of trust, who are like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But other people who I also think who have good taste were like, this was really bad, man. This was not good.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of... I didn't really feel that compelled because, again, it was very mixed in reviews and sci-fi doesn't, like...
engage you that
scream
much.
At me. Yeah. And I'm also like, just because a book is advertised as, like, feminist or whatever, or even advertised as queer or whatever, this doesn't compel me either because...
It can be
a lot of books advertised like this are also not good, but it's also like, I don't need my books to be explicitly either of those things. If I want to really read about those and about feminist theory or queer theory or anything, I'd rather read nonfiction because I think that is way more valuable than like a fictionalized version. So I was always like, it sounds fine, but it's not,
I think the biggest thing you would enjoy is it is a book about women's wrongs.
I do love women's wrongs. I do like those. You're right.
I think you'd enjoy that. It's about mechs and kaiju.
Yeah.
I've never read a book that reads like an anime.
Yeah.
Which sometimes I did not enjoy and sometimes I immensely enjoyed.
That's just the anime and the experience, I think.
Right?
Sometimes you're like, oh, this is great. Then you have some moments where you're like, oh, this was really bad.
So I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
And another one, but I put it in brackets because I was like, is another series by Armand Trout. It was the first series I read with her, and that's Wicked, which is like an urban fantasy fae story. And I think it'd be fun.
I am not opposed to that either, because I have heard that it's better.
Yeah, I mean, I only
read Blood and Ash.
I only read the German translation.
Yeah.
And I also read the German translation of From Blood and Ash, and I checked in different translators, and I was like, is this the reason why From Blood and Ash was worse?
No, From Blood and Ash is just terrible by itself.
Because it was like, maybe the translator just did a better job at making this engaging.
That's possible. But I think I have a different friend who's also read Wicked and had like a good time with it, so...
Wicked was kind of dumb, but also fun.
And I also think a lot of authors who are not good at world building
do better.
Profit immensely from not having to do that much.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you're just here for the banter and the fun stuff, this is much... And, like, the banter is also much more acceptable in an urban fantasy setting than in a fantasy setting.
It felt like the whole story takes place in New Orleans, and I don't know whether she lived there or whether she has any connection, but it felt like she knows her way around.
Okay.
So,
well, I am not entirely opposed. It's funny, you were like the third friend who's recommending Iron Widow to me.
I know.
And it's like, I'd totally read it. I mean, I know someone who owns it, I can just borrow it. Yeah. So I don't need to spend money and worry about like wasting my money. So I'm not, we could do that. We could totally do that. Books that I want to discuss. One, I do want you to read The House That Horror Built, and I do want to, even if not in the video, but I just like to talk to you about it. Yeah. Because I was like, oh, this was good again. And I'd like to hear from you if you also felt like that, or if my expectations were just so low that I was like, oh, this is good enough. It's better than the other one, I guess.
I was standing in front of it at the bookstore, and I
know, and you were like,
no, like recently, after you told me that you liked it, but I was like, I'm still scared.
I mean, I could just lend you mine. I'm not going to reread it anytime soon. I just want your opinion on it, and I want to see if you agree that it's like...
I'm into that.
To her standards, again. It doesn't have to be great. I wouldn't say it's great, but it is good.
Yeah.
It's like...
It's a solid read.
It's a perfectly serviceable horror book, I feel like.
Okay.
What I would also like you to read and to talk about, probably not in a video, because it's...
Yeah.
I would like you to read the Skullman series. I think...
I know.
Because I like it so much, I'm like, I would love to hear what you think about it.
Yeah.
And I want someone to talk about it with.
No, I can't relate.
I do have many thoughts, so I'm like...
I know.
Many thoughts are also just like rotating the characters in my brain. Like some of these thoughts are not productive at all.
I think I'm gonna current words. I'm gonna finish Desolation. Yeah. And then I'm probably gonna read Invisible Library. And once I've breached that, I think either it's gonna like break a dam or something. Yeah. Or I'm gonna be like, oh yeah. So we'll see.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
But those were from like what I read this year. Otherwise, there aren't really that many books that are on my radar to talk about, because I'm like, well, there's so much.
I know.
But also there's a lot of books where I'm like, I would love for you to read it, but I also think there's not that much to talk about because they're just good.
Yeah.
So like, I know it's on your list because you mentioned it, but I am excited to hear what you think about An Enchantment of Ravens, because I think it's just really cute and charming. It's like a debut novel, and it's not that long, and I feel like it could have been a bit fleshed out, but it's also just kind of cute.
I just really like Margaret Rogerson's writing.
Me too.
It's like a warm hug, sort of. Even if it's Vespertine, it still feels like a warm hug.
Even if it's ghosts. But yeah, no, I mean, I read the first one, and I was like, yeah, I want to read more of what she's written. And I do like it, so I would like to hear what you think of it. Because I also love the Fae, and they're very, very Fae. They're not like Sarah J. Maas.
That's really fun.
So yeah, that was on my list. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about having reread a bunch of stuff. So, and whether those books held up. and I would say, yeah. Mostly, I mean, I have been rereading the Invisible Library series. I've read 5 of these this year, and they're all 5 stars. Oh my god, that's my favorite books. I just like them a lot. They just have what I like in them.
Yeah.
They're just... Every time I was like, maybe I'll just read fanfic. I was like, you know what? I can just reread this. This is the same feeling.
Yeah.
Like, I'm reading about characters I like. I know where it's going.
Yeah.
And I had a blast with those. They're really good.
Nice.
What struck me was we read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom.
Yeah.
I was surprised how much worse they were than I remember. They're still good. But, like, Six of Crows was also still good. But there were more points where I was like, oh, this was not good. But Crooked Kingdom especially, I was like, oh, I had way rosier memories of this.
Really?
Than it ended up being. Because I read them very close together, I think. And, like, I don't know. At the first time through, I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, it was good. And now I'm just like, wow, there's so much where I'm like, man. I think it's also that now...
I think you have a better understanding of stuff. That,
for sure, too. But also... people hold them up so much. And to some degree I understand, because as in every genre, YA fantasy is full of absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Most of the books that get published are just not particularly good.
Yeah.
So having any books that are good immediately sets them apart a bit. But I feel like they're too hype. People talk about them like they're some second coming of, like, you know? And it's just not... They're just not that good. They're good. I like them. They're fun. But let's keep it realistic, guys, okay? And I understand, like, fans obviously always talk more positively about stuff, but it's also true. Just, like, it's just not... It's not as good as I remember.
Doing it for you.
I was not as, you know, excited.
Was that...
Did you even reread anything this
year? I did.
Yeah, you did.
I reread... So that maybe also continue with Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I remember... I liked Six of Crows more this time.
Ooh,
it was my first reread of the series. And a lot of stuff I remembered from Six of Crows, I was, like, kind of washed up. And then I watched the Netflix show. And it just made me appreciate the OG Six of Crows a lot more. Nothing is wrong with the Netflix show. I think the cast they got was perfect.
Yeah.
If they ever try again, the cast will not be as good. I think for aged up characters, it was perfect.
On point.
Yeah. So I liked Six of Crows. Crooked Kingdom, I really didn't like the first time I read it. So reading it again, I was like, you know what?
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
It felt a lot worse the first time I read it. I still enjoyed it the first time I read it, but this time I enjoyed it more. So for me, it was a solid yes. They held up. I reread the Percy Jackson series this year. In like January, February, March was when I reread them. Oh, and do they hold up? I enjoy the Percy Jackson series so much. They are the perfect length for my I can't concentrate brain, like kind of phases I sometimes get. It's, you know, Greek mythology, which I love. And it's just, they held up so well for me. They actually made me want to go, do I want to read the rest of the Percy Jackson books, like the newer ones? I was like...
They're all way longer,
I was like, I know, but that's what they did to me. Yeah. They were like, oh, do I want to...
Maybe I do.
You know, I kind of did.
Were you a Percy Jackson kid? Did you read them as, like, a kid?
I didn't read them when I was small. No. I read them when I was, like...
Like 11?
No, older. Like 14, 15 was when I read them. Again, because I only read the Edge Chronicles when I was like...
That's true.
I was an Edge Chronicles child. No, I read them when I was 14, 15.
Interesting.
Because, like, one of our best friends had all of the books.
Yeah, that's true.
And she was like, you have to read. And I was like, okay, fine.
I'll do it.
And this time I was like, oh, I actually enjoy these so much. Percy is just a lovely, fun character, in my opinion. So they held up. One last book I read that did not hold up was The Drachenkämpferin from Licia Tracy, the first one. I didn't remember much about it, but I was like, oh yeah, I remember I liked it. And I think I remember that I liked the whole series.
Yeah.
But the first book, girl, the main character, I wanted to just take her and slap her a couple of times, slap some sense into her, slap some decency into her, slap some niceness into her. How dare she treat my boy like that? He's trying his best.
You're a center girl.
I am. He's trying his best, right? And then she has the audacity to actually give him a fucking scar on his face. No. No. That book did not hold up. There was a lot of plot looping around that I didn't understand why we're doing this. Which I remembered none of that.
Yeah, probably because it wasn't meaningful.
Yeah, so it did not hold up. But I'm still like, oh yeah, maybe I'm gonna get the other two from the library again this year.
Yeah, I mean,
because I enjoyed the series, so that at some point,
yeah,
the books.
I mean, I do also kind of want to reread them. I also want to reread the second series.
The second one was so
because
good.
When I was younger, I only read the second and third book. I couldn't get my hands on the first one, and I just started with the second. And they have the long review in the beginning where they mostly summarize what happened. And
the first book was good from the second series.
I assume it is. The rest was also not bad.
At least I remember it well.
Well, memories can be treacherous, as we've learned. But I mean, I do want to read. I'm definitely not going to reread the third trilogy ever again.
No, the third trilogy was
I did not care for the protagonist, and I did not care for the fact that the world just kept getting worse and worse. It was very depressing. It was very depressing. I was like, wait, it's just getting I don't like this.
No, I was really disappointed by with her behavior towards Senna. Like, what is she doing?
I mean, she's like 13.
Yeah.
Which is annoying. Yeah, no, I mean, I also don't like 13-year-olds. So.
And I think at the end of the book, she's like 16 or something. She ages a little bit over time. And she's not mentally. Okay. So the last bullet point we have is our favorite book couples or relationships.
I had like characters or couples.
But
if you...
I only wrote down couples. But they include my favorite characters from this year, so it's fine. First favorite couple, Mahit and 3 Seagrass.
They're very cute.
I just love them.
Sound.
I just love them. And you know, sprinkle a little bit of Iskander in the mix. Delicious. My second favorite couple and relationship is Lauren and Damon.
I mean, I get it, man. I liked those books too. Their relationship is really fun. I like them individually, and I like them together too.
Like them individually. I was like constantly like, Damon, he's just having a bad time. Yeah. And then he's like, the one time things are going well, immediately goes bad again. Yeah. It's like he gets like one evening of smooching and then it's over for him. He has such a
bad time, man. This guy's not having a great time.
He's not. And my last favorite couple is, I already had them last year, is Dom and Sorasa from Realmbreaker. I love the conclusion for them in the third book. It's like, because it's so fucking slow burn. We don't even see the kiss on screen. We see a description on how the shadows get closer to each other on the sand until there's no kernel left between. And I was like, yes. Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm here for. 3 books of yearning.
I was about to say, you just know the book talk girlies were so mad that they didn't get graphic sex. You just know.
Yeah, but like Aviard has said, she will probably never write graphic sex because
I respect it so much.
That's not something she's good at. She reads it from other people, but she's like
other people are stopped by that fact.
She's like, other people can do it better, and I don't see. Yeah, like steamy makeout, yes, but nothing more. Yeah. So yeah, those were my tips.
Of course, one of my favorite characters from this year, Murderbot. I love them.
Murderbot,
They're
honestly,
everything to me.
Murderbot is perfect.
I am holding them gently. I love Murderbot. It's just
perfect.
I love.
Can do no wrong.
I was like, what do you mean machines can't have autism? Have you seen Murderbot? You know.
I think Murderbot is great.
Me reading All Systems Red. Wow, they're just like me for real. No, but
that's why I thought you'd like it.
Yeah, no, I did. I liked it immensely. I had such a fucking good time, man. And it was so short. I was like, oh, it's already over.
I mean, there's like 7.
Yeah, I know. But again, we've talked about it. The price of novellas compared to the length, it always like hurts my heart because I'm like,
yeah,
it's so short though. Where I'm also like, maybe I should just get the ebooks. But then it's like, I like the physical books though.
I'm getting the novellas because it also like the cover art and stuff.
Yeah, and that's pretty too.
good.
Like the covers are really beautiful. I have the same problem with like the Every Heart a Doorway, like what is it called? Wayward Children series or whatever from Sean and McGuire. I really, really like the first ones. I'd love to read the other ones, but they're so expensive and they're so short. And I'm like, I don't want to read them that badly. There's so many. Like, if only the library had them, but of course we're in Germany, so libraries aren't prioritizing vaguely popular English novella series, right? Like
before I saw this after I got you the little duck Christmas present, but I actually wanted to get you the Galatea novella. Because I remember you saying you would love to read it, but not for the price.
Yeah. I would have loved that too.
But, you know, I found the duck sooner.
I mean, the duck is also really good.
But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I did buy the House of...
Mysteries of the Manor?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a good time...
It's beautiful. It's
I think what would upset me is that it doesn't fit with the rest of the hardcovers from Margaret Rogerson because it's so short. Yeah. It's not short. It's just not tall. It's short in the tallness. Yeah. We're gesturing wildly. Tallness. But yeah.
So eloquent today.
Yeah, man. And my other two favorite characters, which I also like as a ship, but also... I'm squishing them individually. Galadriel Higgins and Orion Lake from the Skullman series. I have so many. There are also other characters from that series. Like, there's a fairly minor side character named Li Shanfeng. I'm obsessed with him. The implications about him, he's like a 50-year-old guy. What we know about him, I am insane about him too. What we know... I have so many thoughts about him. He's not that, like, he's important to the story, but he's not in it much, but I have many thoughts. I have so many thoughts. But yeah, no, I love them. I mean, I love those books, obviously.
Yeah.
I love those too. They're so good. I love the angry black cat and golden retriever energy. Yeah. Although, actually, the golden retriever is, like... a wolf that just looks to be tame, but it's actually like also extremely dangerous. But like the behavior is there. Yeah, it's very cute. There are so many scenes where he just looks at her like, "What should I do?" And she's like, "Make your own decisions. I hate you."
For me, that's
the energy is so fun.
The Rowan Whitethorn kind of archetype where I'm like, that's what I want to
Orion Lake is also way more autistic coded than Rowan Whitethorn. I love this boy. He's like, he has so much wrong with him too. I love him. And of course I love Galadriel because I support women's wrongs. I mean,
for a moment I was like, did you read Lord of the Rings? No, but her mom canonically is a Lord of the Rings fan, and that's why she's named that. And she's like, I hate it. I hate my mom for doing this to me. She only goes by Elle. Yeah.
She does not want to be called Galadriel. But it's very cute. It's like, she doesn't even do that many wrongs. I wish she got to do them, but...
more wrongs.
She's very angry all the time, which I love. It's very cute.
You know, I have to circle back to this. I think that's why I like Iskander so much, because he did a lot of wrongs.
Oh, yeah.
Show-stopping. Okay,
He's my poor little meow meow too. I love Iskander. If he were more in the book, he'd be one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, for some reason, I always imagine Jeff Goldblum. when I think about
I don't imagine that at all. We'll have to agree to disagree
from
on this.
the Thor movie.
We'll have to agree to disagree. Oh my god, no.
With the flamboyant clothes.
That's too old, though.
Yeah, for old Iskander is kind of...
But even older Iskander isn't that...
But that's the
You're like, I don't care. Okay. If anything, you have to do Jeff Goldblum from the Jurassic Park movies.
Oh, well, that fits his vibe even better.
Slutty scientist.
Looks at the pile of shit, looks like the Emperor, and was like, yeah.
Yeah, no. That's it on the character front.
That's our review on our side sorted. Wanna look into the Goodreads?
Let's show me the Choice Awards. I mean, the Choice Awards are really not about book quality. They're just about popularity, really. Which is like, of course, the results are always dumb.
Yeah. So maybe let's look at the categories that would be interesting to us. Let's see. Mystery and thriller actually was not won by a Stephen King book. Which I thought was interesting to me, but looking at the list, I can't find a Stephen King book. So maybe
there just wasn't one. So
he was in the other. Oh, he must have been in horror. Yeah, mystery and thriller was The God of the Woods, which sounds interesting. We have romantasy, which was won by House of Flame and Shadow, with a whopping amount of votes of 122,895, which is about double. Did
these people even all read it, or did they just see Sarah J. Maas and vote
honestly,
for it?
I don't know. Which is about double the votes of the next
one in the list,
which is
crazy.
Apprentice to the Villain with like 56,000. And then the other ones are pretty close. 49,000, 48,000, 39, 35, 32.
Yeah.
So quite close.
Yeah, but even the second and third place put together would not have as many as a House of Flame and Shadow.
Yeah.
Which is painful. It's not great.
Yeah. Then, and I don't want to say this feels like a snub, because I haven't read either of these.
Okay. But that's a good intro. I love this.
Fantasy was won by Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune, which is a sequel to House on the Cerulean Sea, which came out in September, and it won with about 1,000 votes before The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo, which I have heard tremendously good things about, to the point where I was like, do I want to try a Leigh Bardugo book again after I hated Ninth House, which I honestly thought was written by a ghostwriter. It was that bad. So
Ninth House and Good Girls Don't Die Holding Hands. Being significantly worse than anything else the author has done.
Yeah. So those were those two. They were kind of really close. Because the third place is at 50,000. So The Familiar and Somewhere Beyond the Sea really went at it. I'm
not surprised. They're both like really popular authors with previous books that were really well received. That, again, I think a lot of these people who vote have not read any of this, and then they just go by name recognition.
The one that won for science fiction was one I've seen a lot of times, and I actually thought about buying it, was The Ministry of Time.
I have heard people talk about this.
Yeah, which won with 78,000 votes.
I would just like you to compare this number to the number of votes House of Flame and Shadow got, right?
Yeah, right.
That's
all of the
crazy.
numbers I just talked about.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it sounded interesting. So I was thinking about getting that. Oh yeah, there he is. Horror, Stephen King.
Yeah, of course.
You Like It Darker, which is, it's just, Stephen King gets on the list and he automatically wins.
Yeah, because everyone's like, oh yeah, Stephen King is a good horror writer, so he must be on top of this list. And
I don't think whether people are aware that you don't have to vote on every category.
Yeah, you
it lets you continue, like clicking continue, even if you don't vote on every category. But I also feel like Stephen King is the most popular. So obviously, if somebody is on Goodreads, has read a horror book, they will have read that book, and they will be like, oh yeah, why not? Young adult fantasy was won by Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. I have heard of Rebecca Ross, but I have not heard of this book.
This sounds like romantasy to me.
It's the second book.
Oh, no, I've seen... These are Charlie Bowater covers, right?
And on Goodreads, it's just a generic cover.
No, I think so. I've heard of... It's the second book in the series.
Yeah, Letters of Enchantment.
Yeah, I've seen the first one around, and I think I've heard, like, good enough things about it, but I also haven't heard anything great about it, which is why I didn't pick it up. Because, like, if you hear good things about a YA fantasy book, it's probably extremely mid.
Yeah.
And I don't need to do that to myself. I'd read a really good one, but, like, I'm not a teenager. I don't care to read about teenagers, and a lot of YA is also just genuinely kind of juvenile in a way that even middle grade isn't. Middle grade is way more serious about its themes than today's young adult, which is heavily concerned with, like, romance compared to, like, themes or anything.
Like genuine, like, coming of age themes.
Yeah, it's also fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it is staggering how you read some of them and they're, like, way, way worse at discussing anything than books written for 12-year-olds. You're like, what the fuck, man?
I feel like any coming of age story that it's, like, good tackles more subjects than just first love or first lust. Yeah, and that's what makes them...
Yeah, because what makes you, like... What makes you come of age also are experiences of loss, of, like, change.
Like, first heavy kind of emotions.
Yeah, just, like, entirely decoupled from those things. It's about, like, learning to be self-sufficient or being forced to, or, like, you know, like...
like, change of structure in your social circle, because everybody is struggling with that and moving
it's
up.
Just, there is a distinct focus on romance and YA.
Yeah.
Compared to middle grade, that does make you kind of crazy when you look at it, because you're like... Because often they also speak about, like, morality in way more simplistic ways than middle grade does, which is insane. What do you mean this book for 15-year-olds is worse at dealing with the moral ideas than a book for 10-year-olds? What do you mean?
It's really... Interestingly, the second place is... Or not interesting, like... Quite obviously, the second book of the Powerless trilogy. And something that cracks me up every time is that they also put, like, the Skyward books into young adult fantasy. Defiant is on place. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I mean, they are YA, right? No, they're sci-fi.
They are YA, but they are sci-fi.
I think
but it
YA
gets sorted
I think YA might just have, like, the contemporary and the SFF, but they just call it fantasy. When
they have young adult fantasy and young adult fiction, which is why they're being sorted that way. But it still cracks me up every single time, because it's one of the only sci-fi books on the list. Yeah. Everything else is fantasy.
Yeah, because it's a Brandon Sanderson. It really is just like the Goodreads. I mean, many awards with audience participation have this problem, but Goodreads is egregious about it because it is the book social media too.
Yeah.
Because, like, other awards also are, like, heavy unknown names where they are very willing to award those to people where it's like, okay, but have you looked at the new stuff that might actually be more interesting than, like... Yeah, I'm sure the, like, I don't know, 6th Murderbot novella is good. Yeah. But there's a bunch of other sci-fi novellas on this list. Are you sure it's better than this? Or do you just, like, know Martha Wells is acclaimed?
Is it
must be also good,
right?
Or
it's the only book you've read on the list, so obviously you're gonna vote it.
So...
Which is also a way to determine, like, a popular book. If it's the only one of a long list that you've read... You know, it must have stood out for some reason. This is really cute, I think. Winner for young adult fiction is Heartstopper Volume 5. I'm just happy about the Heartstopper comic and, like, the popularity of it, because I think it's very cute. So this is a big win for me, because I'm a fan. And then we only have, what we didn't look at yet was like romance, historical fiction, audiobook, nonfiction, memoir.
How is audiobook its own category? That's crazy. What the fuck? What do you mean audiobook?
I mean, I've seen a couple of books where people said that you should rather listen to the audiobook because the delivery is so good.
They're wrong, but... I mean, like, it really is just, like, if you're somebody who likes audiobooks, sure, but you can't make that recommendation because, like, even people who like audiobooks might just, like, not vibe with the reader at all, which is fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's like, you know.
I am quaking. I clicked on the romance tab, even though we don't read, like, that kind of romance. Guess what's third place in a romance?
Bride.
It is!
Yeah. I hate this.
I know.
I think we should just, you know, we should detonate all nukes and just start over. Like, I think we're cooked. I think it's over.
The worst thing is Ellie Hazelwood is on this list twice, with course. Also Not in Love, with like the company takeover book that she wrote. Which is
she's writing so much scrumptious stuff.
The thing is, all of this would be fun as an AU for like fan fiction.
Yeah. But as a standalone,
not
so
like
bad.
this.
Yeah.
Not like this. I could see a hostile company takeover thing being delicious.
It could be if you like the characters.
Yeah.
If there's groundwork somewhere else, yeah, maybe. But also not if it was written by Ellie Hazelwood.
So let's switch to something more enjoyable.
Yes.
Let's talk
about us.
Because we're so funny.
I mean, we are.
So let's talk about our channel. This year, great stuff. Great success. I think we counted the videos we uploaded this year.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 21.
20. Yeah, or 21.
20 or 21 videos.
It was a good number.
We put in the work. We asked you guys what your favorite video was, the Little Duck Book Club of the year. And most of you guys said Sky Shade, which is I'm
not
honored.
Surprising. No, and it is a very fun video.
It was really fun to make.
And I mean, also, because like most people are probably here from Nightbane, so I'm not surprised that they were excited for the Sky Shade video and then enjoyed it.
Notice how you didn't
great.
say Nightshade. You're learning.
I did.
You said Nightbane.
The epic highs and lows of having a book podcast. This is an epic high for me.
We then have Sky Shade Explained was 75%.
Yeah.
Then we have Bride with 18%, which I can also understand because Bride was kind of like. Same with Nightbane last year. Bride was kind of a breakout video.
Which was extremely surprising to me. I thought it would do about the same as like Bridge Kingdom or something where it's like, yeah, people have heard of it. Yeah. And like it's a bad book and people like watching videos about bad books even if they haven't read it. I was surprised how many people had strong feelings about Bride. I'm so glad we found each other because like we are certified Bride haters. I was very happy to read everyone's comments shitting on Bride. I was like, yes, you are so right.
It's honestly just coming from somebody who, or two
has
people
enjoyed.
Who, no, is going towards like who know the genre, who know the vibes, everything, and seeing comments from people who are like, this is my first time reading something like this, and it was very obvious what was going to happen, and bad. Yeah. Kind of was very, like, redeeming in a way for us.
Like, it's not just because, like, if you read enough books, you understand how stories go. It's like, no, this was just genuinely so obvious. Yeah. And I was about to say, the fact that you disliked it so much when you have enjoyed Ellie Hazelwood books before. Yeah. When you were like, they weren't my favorite, but they weren't, like, bad.
Bro, I love the love theory.
Hypothesis.
I love hypothesis. Love theoretically, love hypothesis. I love the love hypothesis, because I was just so, like,
you had a good time.
I had a blast. I'm a big Poe Finn shipper, so I've read so much Star Wars fan fiction. So reading other
You
stories.
were at home.
I was on common ground. I was not in enemy territory, so I enjoyed that. But Bride, no.
Bride's so... Bride is so off-putting on every level.
There was also one comment of a person being like, the fact that we don't even know what the house looks like, even though
he's an
has
architect,
such a great importance to him. I was like, oh my god, you're so
right. Nothing is described ever. You're so correct.
Like this, we don't know what it looks like, even though it's so important to him. He's an architect. Like, oh my god, yeah. It's like,
it says so much.
Okay.
I was glad other people agreed.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, it's not like fans watch these videos. Like, fans of bad books, like, that's just not what happens.
Especially not if it's called, like, the murder of Bride.
Yeah. I mean, that's not what it was called. I think it's like the investigation into the crimes of Bride or something.
We were murdered in the front.
Yeah, we looked at on the thumbnail. And the length, like, obviously it's not going to be possible. But I am very positively surprised by how many people were like, yeah, legit, it's so bad. it feels very validating, because obviously I'm always like, well, I'm a hater.
Yeah. You hate it anyways.
I have much stronger negative emotions about many things than other people I know, which just is like that. I love being a hater. It's very rewarding. But, like, it's good that even people who went in with, like, a positive...
Yeah.
You know...
opinion of it.
Yeah, who were like, oh no, I'm gonna have a good time. We're like, I had such a bad time.
Yeah. And Bride is one of the books where it's bonkers to me seeing people in comments of Haley Hazelwood's social media being like, oh my god, I'm so excited. It's like, no. How?
Are you a real person?
Yeah, are you a bot?
Write me a song about the book Bride.
And then we have, at 5%, the Bridge Kingdom video, which honestly is just so nice. Because I loved our discussion on the Bridge Kingdom.
Yeah, it was... Again, talking about it was fun. Reading it was not fun for me, but like...
Snake Island.
Snyland. I love Snyland.
Snakes on a plane. And the last one that's being mentioned in the comments as an something different is
because YouTube, because it's a shit website, doesn't allow you polls with more than 4 options, which is insane to me. What do you mean you don't get 10 options or something?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Like, or 6 options.
Just 5, something.
Which is Crescent City. The Crescent City video. Which, thank you so much. It was so much work because I had to use so much brain power to
put this into a understandable format.
Something you can actually consume.
Yeah, this was a straight up adaptation. This took so much work.
It was because with Skyshade or Nightbane, it was like, taking scenes, putting them...
Yeah, it's pretty linear.
Crescent City, I got a PhD in STMAS, honestly, when I...
And it was my favorite video of the year.
Aww.
I was so excited for it. I was way more excited for it than Skyshade, quite frankly. Because I was like, Skyshade is going to be bad. It's going to be bad in the same way the other ones are bad. But these Crescent City books are fucking nuts. I need to hear what is going on. I don't think I've had as much fun in any other video than when you explain to me how it ends. I still smile every time I think about it because it's just so crazy. It's incredible. It's my favorite video. And the art is so fun. It's so good.
When I thought about what my favorite video was, I was also coming to the conclusion that Crescent City was it because it took so much work. I had so much fun drawing. Like, sometimes I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was like, Grandpa, I'm tired. But the memes I put in there, it was just so fun. And, like, seeing you being like, And I knew what was going to come when I clicked the next button. And I think it all, again, had a horrendous amount of slides. Because it's all PowerPoint. I think it was like 200 slides or something. It was insane. But yeah, Crescent City was my favorite video this year as well.
Honestly, it was on par for me with the Crescent City, like, theory crafting. I love that. That was incredibly fun. I had a blast with that one too. Yeah. I was just like, I love this.
It was a lot of fun to research, and I still have Emily's Theories, the TikTok account.
Yeah.
I still follow her, and still whenever a video comes up, I'm like, Emily! Hi!
I love that for you.
Because, it was an incredible amount of fun to research.
Yeah.
And to, like, sift through theories I actually wanted to present, and to make the tier thing. It was really fun.
I had a lot of fun, too. No, we had a lot of videos that we made this year that were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's also funny because there's a number of videos that we recorded last year but put out this year.
Yeah.
Where I was just like, damn, that was this year?
Yeah, me too, yeah.
Because some of these I was like, no, we recorded this like over half a year ago. Like,
yeah.
Like we recorded this like early 2023. This came out this year?
Yeah.
What? That's crazy.
No, that was really good. No, I don't think we did a video. I didn't like when saying, oh, like a lot of videos we enjoy. I enjoy every video.
Quite frankly, I was thinking of putting like one of the keeper and rewrites on there, but I like all of them, so I was like, I can't decide between them because they are all like really fun.
Yeah,
I think the second one was also extremely fun because of the books you had too. Because I was like, I love this. But like,
it was the one where they even stayed in the numbers.
Yeah,
it was really fun.
No.
But no, I really enjoyed that a lot. It's just whenever we have like a more high preparation video, I always enjoy actually presenting the work.
Yeah.
I'm like, like a child that painted something and walks up to their parents, is like, look at this.
I made this. And I am always excited when you make these. I'm always like, the presentation is gonna be God tier. I am excited. I am vibrating. I was excited for the House of Flame and Shadow one for months. I was really? Like, the book's gonna come out, I'm gonna get such a good presentation. I'm so excited.
Bro, I was so intimidated when I went through the comments on like the, House of Flame and Shadow has come out Instagram post. And some people were like, oh my god, this was such a ride. And then others were like, the book came out yesterday. How? And the person was surprised, was like, oh yeah, I didn't sleep.
Yeah, I was like, well, if you read the entire time, I guess.
I was like, oh my god. No, I'm happy I pushed through. We got the video out. And I'm so happy it's getting some more clicks now, actually.
Yeah.
Because it didn't do that well when we put it out.
Yeah, I'm still a little mad at how much better Bride is doing than that video.
I'm so salty about that.
I like that video so much more, and like, Bride wasn't even that much effort to prepare because all the grievances are so present in your mind because Bride is so torturous to read that you can't forget it. But like that video, I love the Crescency. I felt so vindicated when Skyshade did better than Bride. Yeah.
I was like, oh, finally.
At least. I was like, Bride does not even deserve to do this well in video format.
I was about to say, Bride is not allowed to be our best video of the year.
Yeah, that's...
Clicks-wise, it's not. No. And then you guys came through with Skyshade and all the comments on Skyshade, so I was like... Perfect.
The thing is, like, on some level, like, it is super fun to read, like, people's comments and talk to them. Yeah, the clicks don't even matter that much because, like,
the comments.
The much more meaningful part is the comments. And I totally understand how, like, a lot of book YouTubers get sucked into just talking about bad books because that gets so much more attention and, like, engagement, and you get to talk to people about it. But honestly, you can't make me read something like Bride again. Like, if I know it's gonna be that bad... No, you have to pay me up front. I'm not going into this with like, it's gonna do well in the algorithm. It's like, first off, that's not promised.
Yeah.
And second off, do you have any idea how shit Bride was to read?
There's gonna be a Bride sequel, and I'm scared.
I'm not even touching that. I'm like, look, I'm not reading this. I'm not even gonna be like, oh yeah, well maybe. If you pay me €1,000, maybe.
I'm gonna make myself a beverage and read the Goodreads comments and reviews.
Honestly, that could be a loss. I am open to hearing somebody talk about it, but reading it,
nah.
Shoot me. No, I'm not doing it. I am not doing it. It's the same with like other bad books. I understand that people have fun like having people talk about them, but it's so painful to read them. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to be this.
I get it.
I don't want to be the guy who tells you about bad books because that means I have to read them.
Yeah.
And I would much rather read good books.
Yeah,
like, I'm sorry.
Because you want to give the bad book the benefit of the doubt and read it.
Yeah.
It feels like unfair criticism if you make a lengthy video about a book you haven't read.
Yeah, and also, like, I don't want to make myself read... Because I know I'm having a bad time. Why the fuck would I read bad things on purpose? Understand money, but also, like, again... If you pay me directly up front, I could be convinced, but not in the whole, oh, you're gonna get so much attention. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm happy talking about good books for 200 views.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I would rather read books like Memory Called Empire 100 times and talk about them and, you know...
Not get
nothing else
high
out
engagement
of it, because just reading them and then talking about them is so much more rewarding.
Yeah.
It's so much better.
So much better. We asked you guys of what books you read and enjoyed.
Yeah.
There was one such cute comment of someone, Ria Jace, saying that they read the recipe book for the GE electric refrigerator from 1928. Which, amazing.
I am intrigued.
I'm so intrigued.
Because now I'm also like, what were refrigerators like?
Right?
At that time.
Right?
And now I'm kind of curious. Now I'm like, what was happening back then?
I don't know if you were the person recommending this to me or if this was a colleague of mine who also sometimes reads, like, out of kind of scope books. But it was like the history on trains in Germany. And he was like, it was genuinely good. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. And then he was so fascinated talking to me about this book. It was like, maybe I want to read about the history of trains in Germany. Sign me up.
I'm just like, Nürnberg nach Furt, 1835.
Oh, I never remembered that fact.
Wartburgfest war 1834.
But honestly...
yeah.
Honestly,
no, I'm like,
slay.
You know what? I would not be opposed if it's well written. I'm like, sure. It could be really interesting.
For the Halloween pen and paper we did, I had to read up on, like, early 20th century dams in America. And honestly, I was having a blast.
Honestly, it can be super interesting. Yeah. Now I'm like, what were refrigerators like? Right. Maybe I should read a manual.
Yeah.
Maybe I should. And I'd love to hear how people at the time talked about them too. It would be like, wow, that's really interesting.
Old recipe books or like old cooking books, amazingly fun.
It can be really fun. The funniest part is the time when they were like, you know what you need to do with your food? Put it in Jell-O.
Just bones.
Everything in a speak.
The second one, Louisa wrote that they read Legendborn and Bloodmarked, which has been on my list for quite a while, I must say, actually.
I have seen that the last book of that series comes out next year, so I'm going to borrow them from a friend, and I'm going to be like, yeah.
I'm going to keep my eye on that. I'm like, oh, maybe.
I'm always like, listen, if I don't have to buy them, I'm a lot more open to trying books that I might not like, because honestly, it's just like...
I think my library has them in German, so I might check them out there.
I'm always like, I want to read them in the original language if I speak the language.
I know.
So I'm like, nah.
But, maybe I'm
if it's for free, I mean,
right. For free kind of beats that. And then also wrote that they kind of, it's been a while since they read proper YA, because they're so fun, actually. And that they're excited for Heavenly Tyrant and Electo the Ninth. I don't know how to say it. The Ninth.
It's Ninth House.
Right, yeah. I struggle with that. I struggle with a lot.
Don't we all?
But yeah, same on Heavenly Tyrant.
Renaming the podcast to the Struggle Bug podcast.
Little Struggle Bug.
We have many problems.
I mean, we nearly called it Little Bug Book Club. Bug Book Club.
Yeah, that's true.
And then last comment by Ribbon Quest was that they read The Vampire Knitting Club, a fluffy, cozy mystery, which... I like cozy mysteries. I like cozy anything.
I mean, cozy mystery is also a specific genre of mystery, but like, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's like cozy fantasy, there's cozy mystery. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, cozy mysteries are like very specific in what the mystery is like and what happened.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's also low stakes, right?
I mean, it is, yes, low stakes in that sense, but there is more to it. You usually have like an amateur investigator, like you don't have like a policeman or a detective.
Yeah.
And it's very like limited and, you know, it's like a very, very specific genre of mystery. But like, I do like those too. I like those a lot. So I was like, I am like, I mean, I like vampires. I like mysteries. If it's good, I'm not.
Yeah.
Maybe I should.
And then also, I mean, if it's wooden needles, this is so much fun.
That's true.
It's like murder weapon knitting vampire glove. And then they also
high stakes knitting.
The high impact 5. Okay. The biggest impact 5 stars were also Princess Holy Aura, which is a trans-ish, it's complicated, they wrote magical girl story, and Most Ardently, the trans Pride and Prejudice remix, which I've had Most Ardently in my hand so many times.
Interesting.
I was like, and I didn't take it with me, so maybe I'm gonna pick up Most Ardently.
I mean, I wish you luck. I don't know, I think I don't have a high opinion of people who retell, like, Jane Austen books. I'm like, the books are good.
Why would you retell them?
They're still available. It seems incredibly lazy to me, quite frankly. Unless you do something genuinely interesting with it, at which point it would probably just more be inspired than a retelling. Yeah. I'm just not interested. Like, I'm not into Jane Austen enough to want to read
that, yeah.
And it's like, well, the originals are good. Why the fuck would I read, like, a slightly changed version?
Yeah.
And, like, I'm sure, like, it can totally be good. And obviously, like, making it queer changes a lot. And if the author actually, like, does something with that, I'm sure it could be interesting. But I'm also like, oh, this... it's like, why would you write a retelling of, like, published fiction? Even if it's old, right? I also have very low opinions, quite frankly, of Sherlock Holmes book adaptations that are retellings of Sherlock Holmes stories that have, like, if you come up with a new case, that's great. But if you're just retelling a case that already exists, and it's not in a different medium, then, like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You have to do something crazy interesting to make it worth it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
to be honest, I never realized that it's a Pride and Prejudice. I just looked at the cover. It was
cute.
I was like, oh, that's cute. I just read the back of it, and I guess I didn't get that it's a Pride and Prejudice reading from the blurb. But I'm into it.
I think at that point I'm also just like, I could just read fanfic of this for free. Like, I could read fanfic like this for free.
True.
Why would I be paying for it? But I also know that, like, but I also understand that, like, the Jane Austen retelling thing is a huge market, which is also why I have such disdain for it. I was like, just write something new. Oh my god.
I think it also, like, it goes hand in hand with, like, the Bridgerton.
The Regency
resurgence.
Yeah.
Which honestly,
like, people like the dresses, but they don't really do much else with that other than the aesthetic. Like, you can't tell me Bridgerton has anything more in common with actual Regency era fiction than some vibes.
I feel like a huge appeal to people is, like, the social, even tighter social constrictions that back in the day were put on, like, romantic relationships, but I don't know.
I mean, not like Bridgerton is, like...
No, I didn't mean it with with Regency.
But, like, for other people. But then I'm also just like, just write a Regency romance. That's not Pride and Prejudice. There are many other things you can do. You can do something inspired by it, what's clearly similar, but you don't need to do a retelling.
I mean, there are a lot of Regency romances. If you go into, like, the romance...
It's a huge genre, of course. Which is why I'm like, see how many people can do other things? You don't need to retread this, especially because there's so much of it already.
Yeah.
I just cannot imagine it being, like, unique or interesting enough to be worth it. Like, I understand people people read it because I love Jane Austen, and people sell it because obviously people recognize it and are like, oh, I like Jane Austen, so I'm going to buy it. And I have disdain for this practice of marketing.
It's so cute, the little haters coming out.
Yeah, no, it's when I told you again, it's like, you can't just jangle keys in front of me that look like something else I like. I can just reread the thing I like. Yeah. I don't need this.
You gotta get yourself the keys and be like, I have them too. I have them at home.
Like, I don't need this, man. And I understand this is not how most readers like feel about it, which is why these things keep getting made and why they're popular. Yeah. But like, I do have disdain for the practice. And just making it queer doesn't make it better. You're doing the same.
What a quote. I have disdain for the practice. Damn.
Just making it queer doesn't make it more interesting by itself. Like, it's still derivative as fuck. Sorry. I'm just a hater.
I have to say, with a lot of, when I looked at releases of next year and also looked at queer book releases, because there's like special lists for it, I felt like queer representation is still not always good representation, and it feels like the books are getting... It's nice that we have more books.
Oh, yeah.
It's it's great. Just
having more queer rep means we're also gonna get all the bad shit books that are mediocre and boring and deeply uninteresting. This is equality. Like, I'm glad we're having this, because it's a sign that people care about or are willing to read queer rep, even though nothing about the premise is like in any way appealing or interesting or unique or new or anything. And the writing's not good either. I'm glad we're at that point. Very fun. I'm very happy. This is what equality looks like. Am I gonna read any of that? No. I would much rather... listen. I have read some truly, truly, deeply mediocre, boring queer books. No, they're not queer books. They're books which contain queer characters.
But they're not really queer books.
But they're just doing normativity for queers.
Yeah.
They're not actually looking at the world in a queer lens. They're just slapping a coat of rainbow paint on, like, everything and are like,
it's like, oh, look, I have a gay character. It's interesting. And I'm like, I have read books that are extremely cishet who take a much more interesting look at everything than this shit has done. Yeah.
So unfortunately, like, being like, oh, this is like a trans retelling, this is like a gay version of it. I'm like, okay, but is it good though?
I'm gonna find out for you.
You're gonna find out.
Yeah, no.
But unfortunately, you're not a reliable recommender to me. Because you're so much nicer in reviewing stuff than I am. You're like, no, I had a great time. And I'm like, well, I wanted to kill myself.
Hurt. Do you never take my recommendations
You do, but I'm saying that when you say, oh, I liked it, that doesn't mean I like it. Because again, you said you had fun reading The Bridge Kingdom. And I was about to jump off the bridge. So...
2024.
What an end to the year.
No,
2025 Little Duck Book Club Civil War. Well, I have Little Duck number 1. I'm sorry you forgot.
But you know, since Captain America was first, that means you're Cap.
I was about to say, well, you're blonde. But also you work in STEM. But I would never go to the army either, and neither of us is American, so this you
go to testosterone.
Man, I wish, though. Let's just say neither of us is Captain America. You've at least been to the US once.
He's been to England, right?
I have been to England, yeah. But
no? Did he not go to England at some point during the war?
Yeah, during World... Didn't he go to France? Because it's World War I, World War II, you know?
Europe.
Yeah, it's all the same. Brexit, I haven't heard of it. What is that? Going to Great Britain and being like, oh, you're just like the rest of Europe, right? I think they'll kill you.
Oh my god. No, it's fine. I recommend you books when I genuinely think you like.
Yeah, I know. You're not like, oh, I liked it, so you'll like it. You're like,
I know the hater in you.
You can take my perspective and be like, I think it's not for you. It's for me, but not for you.
Yes.
No, your recommendations have been very solid.
Thank you.
We're Civil War postponed. Maybe in 2026, we'll see. Currently, we can't afford it.
It's like arcane finale. Power of friendship.
Okay. We're very serious.
You're my partner. Oh my god. Okay. Well, I had a great 2024 actually with books. I enjoyed it a lot. But most important thing, we just said we don't care about the numbers, but we are currently at 982 followers, which is
incredible.
Wow.
That is crazy.
When we uploaded Bride, I was like, oh, I'd be so happy to like get to 666 during spooky time.
And then we hit 666 like a week later.
Like super early.
I had to check in very regularly to even get a screenshot of 666, which was the number I was most excited for.
Yeah,
beside like 1,000.
And you were like checking it like
yeah, and then I was like, I have the screenshot.
Yeah, which is amazing. I wanted to print that out.
Oh yeah, I need to send it to you. Sometime.
And we're currently at 982, and probably most likely, fingers crossed.
God willing.
No.
God unwilling.
By the time this video is uploaded, we actually have managed.
That would be crazy. I still didn't
Pop
really
the champagne.
expect it. Neither
the alcohol
of us drinks. Pop the ginger ale.
Pop the ginger ale.
No, but it would be really cool. It's like crazy. When we started, we were like, oh yeah, I mean, maybe we get to 1,000 like at some point.
Yeah. And
I mean, neither of us expected Nightbane
to
or
be so
Bride.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like looking at bigger channels, it's so easy to be like, oh my god, like we only have this much.
Yeah,
but
like, oh, they only have 12,000 subscribers.
Every
like,
single time I see like a room and then the number of people attached to it that
like,
could fit in, I'm like, holy shit. And we are nearly at 1,000, and that feels so professional.
And this is like extremely unprofessional.
Hey.
Hey. It's true, but you shouldn't say it.
Exactly. I would say if you were an author, you wouldn't say inside thoughts. But no, yeah, that's feels nice to have hit that milestone.
It's just such a good round number.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It's very enjoyable and so up for that to happen.
Yeah, I'm just so happy because it's like. Obviously, the numbers don't necessarily translate, but I'm so happy to see. Like, my favorite thing is the regulars and the comments. I'm always like,
making
you're here again. I'm
like
so
good
happy.
Beverage.
Yeah, get yourself a big cup of tea, because oh my god, this one's long.
I love it. The regulars, you know who you are.
Yeah,
I've loved seeing your videos, your comments.
They're so good.
It means a lot. Yeah, it's really nice. Again, the comments are the most.
Yeah, it really is just like. Like, on social media, a lot of, like, talk about engagement is extremely, like, cynical and, like, whatever. Mm-hmm. But, like, that's the reason why you put something out there, right? You want a response, and, like, a meaningful response. And, like, it's not, like, I don't know, like, views, subscriptions, like, likes, whatever, are totally nothing. But, like, the comments are something you can actually, like, engage with.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about books by ourselves too.
Yeah.
But we're recording it and editing it and putting it out there because we also want to talk to other people.
Yeah.
And we want to find the right people who also like want to talk to us, right? And that's why the comments are like so nice.
The thing is, ever since we started this little book club, I've been reading much more. I've been conversing about books more in the way that I feel like a Sims that's like getting more skill
same.
in
I also
literacy.
Feel like it also changes how I read books while I'm reading them. I feel like I'm way more attentive, and I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, and the conversation about it is what is like the biggest part about it.
Yeah.
I'm reading and talking about these books because I want the input of other people. And that's why Sky Shade made me so happy as a video to see so many people talk.
Yeah, it was like disproportionately many people also had thoughts on it, and it was great because there are many things to say about Sky Shade.
Yeah, and also comments like mentioning each other and like stuff just, like bouncing off ideas.
It is so fun.
It is fun.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And to the person that said they are interested to see how like the translation of Prophet People is going, it comes out on the 17th of January. I will go to the bookstore and find that page, and I will check. No, because I'm also interested.
Honestly, yeah, I'm also curious. I kind of feel like the German translator is probably doing it better than Prophet People.
They can't say Prophetenleute.
No, you can't say it.
Prophetenmenschen. Prophetenvolk really is, I think, the most cool.
Which does sound a lot more official than Prophet People. It sounds more like Prophet Kind or whatever, which would also be a much more fantasy and appropriate.
That's what I would say.
Thing
more thematic.
I can't believe this is in the book like this. When you were like, oh, the Prophet People, I was like, that's a funny thing to call them, but like, what are they?
They are called Prophet People. And I went back to check also for the soil and dirt thing because I was like,
it is dirt.
It is dirt. Yeah. Several times it's dirt.
It's dirt.
It's not soil. Soil would be cool. Soil would be like, oh, there's implications.
Yeah.
What is soil? I mean, dirt also has implications, but not cool ones.
My association with like dirt is always that image of these like salamander in the sand with like its little babies behind it, where people Photoshop like hard hats onto them, and it's like, take your baby to work day, and it's like, children, this is dirt, and all the little ones have like, speech bubbles like dirt.
That's an oddly specific association.
Yeah, it's like this one image. I've seen it so many times. I'm like, I love this. This is my dirt association.
It's like Lark taking the wildlings to New Zealand.
Children, this is dirt. Yeah, no.
But yeah, I really enjoyed our year. We don't have strict plans on what books we want to cover.
We
next
have
year.
A tentative agreement to do a reread of the ACOTAR trilogy.
We do have that. I would like to do that this year. Next year.
Yeah, this year. Oh, it's gotta be
Let's
fast. Go. No, but like I would really like to do that too.
Yeah.
Because I think there's something really interesting to see there. And I especially want to hear your thoughts on like how the writing has changed from then to Crescent City.
Yeah.
Because I haven't read them, so I can't comment on it. I've just heard people talk about it, but I'd love to hear like a first-person account of like
I remember it,
how it feels like comparatively.
I remember it being written more well than Crescent City.
I also remember that like it was more cohesive and sensical than whatever's going on.
Maybe I remember it wrong.
Yeah, maybe
because
it's
I've read it years ago.
I read it very near the beginning when I started reading English books and just reading more again, and my taste was much more easily like placated back then. Like I was a lot more open to everything. I was like bringing a lot of my own like energy to books and like filling in holes with my own thoughts, which I don't just bother with anymore.
Enthusiasm of reading
and
books
now I'm
again.
just like, no, if it's like this is shit, I'm not gonna spend my own energy making it better in my brain than it actually is on page. Like, you could make implications out of this, but the text has none of that, right?
The lore.
The lore. But yeah, no, I would love to see how I feel about it now compared it to like, and obviously it's also that like a lot of other people have thoughts on it, and I do want to hear those too. But yeah, no, I'm just like really curious.
But since we wanted to do like all the books in one video, it's not gonna come out in like January.
I mean, we'll see if we do like each book and then like a series retrospective or something with like more cohesive thoughts on like everything. We'll see.
We keep it open.
But this should be on the menu for this year sometime. So
definitely
2025, the year of ACOTAR, apparently. Since you're not signing up for a Crescent City book this year,
mean you gotta sign me up
signed up for a different Sarah J. Maas property.
Great.
I mean, you had like Silver Flames, and then you had Crescent City. This time we're doing a different Sarah J. Maas experience.
At least the more enjoyable one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's something we had planned.
And otherwise, we'll just have to wait and see.
We'll keep you updated. Well, I think those are all our thoughts.
Yeah, if you want to talk some about like your books of the year here or on the community post, although we're more likely to see it here, feel free. We're very curious. As we've said, like we want to talk to you about the books you read and your thoughts on them and everything. I love hearing other people talk about books. Yeah. It's very informative. So
if you have any interesting false negatives, I'd be very interested in those. Books where you were like, I'm gonna give it a chance, but you really liked it. If you have one of those, I'm interested.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be really nice. Apart from that, any of the questions we answer ourselves, feel free to write that down.
Feel free to take 2 hours to talk about it in the comments.
I will read it.
Me too. You don't have to be concise. We're not either. This is a safe space for blabbermouth,
For yapping.
Yeah.
This is a yapping
channel. This is a yapping space.
Well, thank you so much for listening, and see you in the next year.
Yeah, we'll wish you a very nice, transition into 2025, even if you don't transition. And we will see you in January.
It's exciting. Bye-bye.